Now, I don't know about you guys, but there's a giant news that just came out. This news is huge. It's been all over the world. It's not just in crypto world. It's all over the gaming world as well. So there's a news came out, and the news is that this game right here. This is a huge game. It's for the PS4, PS5, and the game is called Sifu. See, this is the problem with this drama. You can't escape the drama. Like, I was like, yo, let me sit down, play a video game, relax myself to take a break from the drama. You turn on the game, and then like, what? It's called Sifu. No, that's, oh god. This game's getting great reviews of apparently 8.85 out of 100, 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 from IGN. 9 out of 10 GameSpot. So, this game is killing it. So apparently Sifu is not only good at rugging, but he's, well, not rugging, but I'm not going to accuse anyone. Not only he's good at managing the treasury, he's actually good at game making. So, you know, we were going to invest in this metaverse game, and now we got this game going too. So Sifu is a man of many talents. You put its name there. Now that's the news, and well, I gotta do something. There's a very interesting thing here. You guys saw my last video on the professor, correct? Now, professor is the guy who claims to be someone who's really good at turning things around and restructure the company to bring the project back to its original state or better. And he's been someone making a lot of noise in the community. He was in the Discord, he was talking to people, and people were treating him as someone like Danny or Sifu was. So remember, they were simping on him really hard. So this is what's happening. Now, there's a theory going around. There's a theory, just a theory. What does Sifu mean? So Sifu, it's actually the real spelling is Shifu, S-H-I-F-U. So I googled it. Apparently Sifu means master, a skillful person, or father, or teacher student relations. Now, I think this, you know, this comes a little closer to teacher in my opinion. If you look at the description, you know, skillful person, master, like father, like they all teach people, right? So here's a conspiracy. Sifu means teacher, and teacher, what's a professor? The professor is a teacher, right? Now, the professor is a teacher. So, but then if you look at this video show, I mean this guy here, this guy, there's a show on Netflix called Money Heist. I've seen like 2 seasons, and then I dropped it because the writing got lazy. I saw 2 seasons. It was pretty good. This guy is a professor. He's the guy, mastermind on the show, who orchestrates the whole thing. Orchestrated the whole thing. A whole bank heist. Again, money, stealing money. You guys see what I'm going here with this, right? So that's supposedly the professor. Now, is the guy on the Discord referring to this professor or this professor who's like a crazy good basketball player? I don't think it's him. I think it's more referring to him as the professor. Now, professor is really good at stealing money, deceiving people, and doing things in secret. Now, does that remind you of anyone? Oh, that's right, Sifu. Now, you get a picture. Now we have a guy that just also Anand, who wrote a Medium article about how to turn things around, who happens to have the name the professor. Now you see the connection here. I'm kind of insinuating that Sifu might be the professor. So if you want the professor to be any capacity involved with the projects, then I think he needs to dox himself. So now there's a lot of sentiments around. People were like, why don't we just bring Sifu back? We want Sifu back because he didn't do anything wrong. Where's the proof that he stole money from the treasury? Where's the proof that he did Quadriga? These are all good questions. I think we should all look into it. Now, Sifu came on Twitter to defend himself. So people were like, oh, Sifu stole money 20 years ago, blah, 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 blah. Now, Sifu came to Twitter to defend himself. He said, the guilty piece was for a 20-year-old charge when 18 years old. I don't know many of your career or any type of that age. Your bias and agenda are clearly showing. Who convinced you to publish the leak in the most destructive way possible for investors? So he's actually talking to Zach, the guy who leaked everything. So the docs was published like, oh, got a donation.
Check out Based Finance. It's a fork of Toon Finance.
Oh, are you advertising, dude? We got like 100 people here. You're not gonna get much action out of us. Okay, anyway, go back to Sifu. But thank you for the donation, Jace. The docs was published at 7 a.m. our time. Danny asked for 24 hours, but was not given it. Ooh, here's some background info on the leak. So Danny asked 24 hours before Zach could leak it to the public. But Zach didn't give him the opportunity. Not to mention he could have easily and quietly pushed me out without these epic losses for investors, if the concern was for public safety. Instead, he watched everyone burn and asked for donations. Wow. Sifu it's pretty mad. He's actually arguing to Zach now. Okay, forget the conviction. How about just getting a bad job treasury manager? How with 1 billion asset at your disposal were you able to losing that much value? Well, I know why. We were averaging nearly 40% APR on the lot, severely outperforming 99% of trade fund funds and DeFi auto funds. Mistakes were certainly made during my challenge to build 1 billion in 3 months, but treasury growth and yield aren't among them. Well, the market went down a lot during that time, so it's also not just because of the treasury, right? Everything went down. Bitcoin dropped 50%. So there's a lot of, like, Sifu's been pretty active on Twitter trying to defend himself. He's also trolled a lot, but apparently, he's still quite involved in this. So one of the things that he said was that the Quadriga thing, he actually left Quadriga 2 years before the whole rug. He said he wasn't involved. He lost money there. And he actually was a co-founder because he invested quite a bit of money of his own to start the company. So he was able to help the company grow, and that's how he was able to get the co-founder status. He left the company already before the rug. So I don't know the story behind it, but apparently that's what Sifu said. But there was also an article by the Canadian SEC right here. So this article here, Sifu actually wants you guys to read it. This is the actual summary of the official reports. So their conclusion was that the funds in the stolen customer fund were actually being traded away and lost. A lot of them were lost, and they weren't rugged or transferred or stolen out by anybody. So there really was no evidence that Sifu actually stole all that money. And yeah, it's very interesting, the stuff that Sifu said. This is arts. So anyway, I encourage you guys to read the responses like Sifu's saying on Twitter. Now, I'm not defending the guy. I just want to give people a chance to explain themselves rather than just have us like accusing him and just don't want to hear from him. I always like to hear from both sides because that's what I believe in. And I want to give Danny the opportunity as well. He's been on Discord a lot, right? He's on Discord. So here's what Danny thoughts about the current situation. Here's a big one. So Danny, he's been on Discord a ton because he's sick of Twitter. He's been answering a lot of things, but usually you do one sentence or a few word answer. But basically he said, oh, we got a donation.
No moon mission here. We are headed for Uranus.
Oh, Dwayne, thank you for the donation. Okay, Daniel. I still believe merger with spell abracadabra would be insane. So I think he's talking about it insane as in positively. He still wants to do a merger. So I'm not sure if the community agrees, but I think Danny just want a way to get this project WMemo off and then focus on Abra, because like this is Time Wonderland is Sifu's project and Sifu's no longer there, so Danny doesn't want to work with it anymore. He just wants to fairly pay people out and merge it with Abra. So that was the plan before this whole drama. So yeah, it's good to, now you know like what Danny is actually still thinking. Of course, he can't just do it because this is a DAO. So he left Twitter because it became a virtual senior shit show. So yeah, I don't blame Danny. He's been getting a lot of attack on Twitter. I mean, I sort of attacked him too. I apologize. It was anger. I think we all were in that anger phase. But right now, I just want to move forward. I just want to see what they can do to move this project forward and maybe recoup some of the investor losses. Now, here's a big one. He's like, the professor, can you add me to friends? So Danny wants to talk to the professor. Now, this does not mean that he wants to bring the professor into the multisig because the professor is not doxed. He probably wants to talk to the professor as advice, to ask him what they can do to go forward. I think that's also how he met Sifu. If I recall, the story was that Danny saw Sifu in some other Discord doing some really good work that demonstrating his knowledge of this space, and then Danny reached out, and that's how they became friends. And Sifu didn't tell Danny about until a month ago, and Danny didn't know who Sifu was. So Sifu told him who he was and his background, and Danny decided to give Sifu a second chance because that's the type of person that Danny is. He's a very trusting person, and I think that's what happened. So if you look back at this, I don't think Sifu, like given his past, of course you should be doubtful of this person because of what they did in the past. But that's also like 20 years ago, and a lot can change in 20 years. And based on the actions that I've seen so far from Sifu, I don't think he's being malicious about this project. So that's what I don't think so. And speaking of this, so now let's explain the price action. So what happened here on the weekend? You can see this giant candle right here. Now, it turns out it was Sifu who bought a ton of WMemo. I think he bought $3 million worth of WMemo right here. So he brought the price from 25K all the way out to 30K. He bought about $3 million with its own money. This is not a buyback, guys. Not a buyback from the treasury. This is a buy directly from Sifu's wallet back to 31K. Now you can check it here on Sifu's wallet directly. So he still has $57 million in his wallet. Even though he transferred a ton of ETH out to Tornado Cash, he still has 57 million. Now that's a lot of money. And he's been, wow, look at it. He's been buying more. Look at this. Sifu's been buying non-stop. He's liquidated some of his sushi position. He actually cashed out a ton of sushi. Look at this. So he's like liquid. This is all cash now. So this is how you read it. Means he took out, he sold sushi and exchanged it with USDT. So he's getting a lot of liquid there. $2 million in Magic Internet Money. How he traded all those USDT to Magic Internet Money. He traded the USDC to Magic Internet Money. There's a lot of Magic Internet Money. Now he used AnySwap to go to another chain of Magic Internet Money. Crazy. $3.9 million. Now he received it on one chain, and he received it on Avalanche. So he used AnySwap to bring the money from Ethereum to Avalanche. Now he's on Avalanche, and all he's been doing is buying WMemo. And that was 10 hours ago. So he's been buying a ton. Now what is this explanation? Let's go. Got 8. So it's like small increases. And then he is doing some, I think this is farming, GMX. So something about GMX token. Sifu's bullish on it, so we'll see. Another 8. So this is like $250,000 worth of WMemos. Another WMemo. It's like he's been buying. Still up to an hour ago, he was buying WMemos. So Sifu's one of the whales who's been pushing the price of WMemo up from where it was. Now, what is Sifu's intention? Well, you can tell. Someone actually asked, like, Sifu, yo, can you explain why were you buying all of this WMemo for? So do they know something we don't? Is he in the whale circle where he knows something that's coming? People were like, oh, the airdrop is coming on Tuesday, so people was buying up. There's no confirmation on that, so it's probably a rumor. So I don't know whether he's buying voting power. Who knows? So here's the question. Someone asked, thanks for the green candles. Care to elaborate why? So Sifu said, I'm buying well under book value. No brainer in my opinion. So he's been saying that a lot in the Discord when he was doing his daily AMAs. He mentioned that whenever it's below its book value, note that he's saying book value, not backing price. There's a very big difference. Backing price is pretty artificial and it can't move, and it's something that can be enforced or not. Book price, book value here, this means the intrinsic value of the treasury. So of the project too. So he's saying that intrinsically this project should be worth a lot more than what it was when it was at 24K. He thinks that it should be worth a lot more than 24K. That's why he's buying. And that is a very true practice, even in traditional finance. When you have an asset that's trading under its book value, that means it's under its intrinsic value. That means when if the company sells all of their stuff, they should be worth a lot higher than the current price. When they have that, it's pretty safe to buy, and it's really good idea to buy. So as far as how Sifu can figure out what the book value is for WMemo and Wonderland, that's something I think it can vary person to person, unless there's like a well-established formula to figure out what the actual cost per WMemo is. I know there's a lot of Excels, or there's a lot of not just Excel, but there's a lot of Excel and I think a Google Doc I saw where somebody was trying to figure out the actual intrinsic value of WMemo, and I think they always valued it above 30K something. So that may be one of the reasons that Sifu is buying this. So he did buy like a couple $1 million. Now, what can you do from this? If you are still in it and you're looking for an exit liquidity, that might be a good chance to do it. You can put a limit order at 30K, and that's sort of what happened, I think. When Sifu bought $3 million worth, it went up, and then it went up all the way up here to 31K. And then it jumped back down almost immediately, back to 28K. Why? Well, that's because a lot of people have their limit order on Sushi set to automatically sell when the price reaches a certain amount. So when Sifu bought market order all the way up, people sell order triggered. When they sell, the price goes down. So it goes back down to this. That's why you see this giant wick here. A giant wick on the top. That's when people's orders were executed and the price go back down. Now we're just trending sideways, even though we are making higher lows. Low, low. So we're making higher lows. And this is a certainly very bullish price action. And again, Sifu is still buying. He's still buying. So whether you want to follow him, it's really up to you. I'm still holding. I'm not doing anything. Where am I exiting? I want to exit around 50K or plus. But it's very uncertain because you still need to wait for what will happen to this project. It's certainly interesting. There's a lot of possible development happening in the future, so we'll have to see. I'm gonna have to raise my worm a little bit, like probably up here. That's why I want to exit at. I am greedy, but I do want to recover some of my losses because right now this is pretty lame, like where we are right now, and I think we want to go back up. So it's gonna require a lot of buying. Now, what's the other thing? Well, the other thing is if we do manage to find a treasury manager, a new treasury manager, which I think it's gonna be hard to do. They can elect to use the treasury to buy back even more WMemo and then burn them. So this is what we hope to happen because we need a giant treasury like Wonderland to move the price, move the markets. I certainly hope all the whales that are manipulating this thing have moved off the platform so they can leave us alone and let us do our thing. The treasury is still making money consistently. So people may not understand, but the Treasury is still making money. And Danny has said it. The only thing is we are not doing any new positions and stuff because we're missing a Treasury manager. And Danny said that the airdrop is delayed because we are currently, I'm sorry, but VSGG airdrop is delayed because they are currently auditing the multi-sig, auditing the Treasury to ensure that no funds were ever misappropriated, no funds were siphoned out of it before we can continue. So that is the investigation. For all I know, Danny and Sifu are still in contact and they are still good friends. And the professor seems to be entering the picture now. So that is all the updates for W Memo, for Time, Wonderland, and crypto. So